across lifetimes, this relationship can continue. It might be a little surprising to claim this, that devotion continues across lifetimes. Okay? But I would like to say that with a number of examples. Okay? So that we can understand that. Let me give you a couple of examples. Right? We know that Lord Mahavishnu and Goddess Mahalakshmi are related to each other, right? They are husband and wife. But then we know that it is the same God Vishnu and Goddess Mahalakshmi who were born as Rama and Sita, who are again husband and wife, right? But many of you would know that Lakshmi was related to Vishnu as a devotee, as a disciple, not just as a wife. Okay? Now the same couple, that is Rama and Sita, were again born as Lord Sri Krishna and Rukmini Devi, Goddess Rukmini Devi. Okay? Again they were related as husband and wife. Again we see that Rukmini was devoted to Lord Krishna. I mean, actually it is said that her devotion was supreme as compared to that of the rest of the wives of Krishna. You know, Krishna is said to have 8 wives. So out of the 8 wives, the love of Rukmini was that of devotion, so it was much more intense, much more selfless, I should say, than that of the other 7 wives. Okay? So, I mean, I am taking this example to tell you that the relationship that existed between Mahavishnu and Lakshmi Devi, the same relationship continues when Mahavishnu is born as Rama and Lakshmi is born as Sita. Again it continues when Mahavishnu is born as Krishna and Lakshmi Devi is born as Rukmini. Okay, so it transcends lifetimes. Okay, again we know that Sati Devi, who was the wife of Lord Shiva, who was also called Dakshayani, because she was the daughter of Daksha Prajapati. Okay, she was again born as Parvati to the Himalayas, the king of the Himalayas, and again she became the wife of Lord Shiva. She could love only Lord Shiva and nobody else. So again there the relationship continues across lifetimes. Okay, so these are the 2 examples that I could choose from our itihasas. Now here there's just an interesting thing that Swamiji said. There is I know that a number of people desire that their relationship, it could be that of a husband and wife, or it could be that of brothers and sisters. They desire that continues across lifetimes. Okay? So, arising from this belief or this desire, there is a belief that if 2 lovers die together, basically if they commit suicide, right, together, then they will become husband and wife in the next birth also. But then what Swamiji told us was very different. Okay? So now this is just an example of what Swamiji used to tell us, very much against the conventional beliefs. Okay? So what he said was, if 2 people who love each other, if they die together, the chances are that they'll be born as brother and sister in the next lifetime. They will not be husband and wife, but they will be brother and sister. Okay? Now for this we actually have an example from Swamiji's devotees themselves. There was a devotee by the name of Agadi, Mr. B.S. Agadi. He, his wife and their 3rd son, they all passed away unfortunately in an accident. They met with an accident when the 3rd son, a young son, was driving the car. They met with an accident and all 3 of them died. And so they came to Swamiji and then they begged Swamiji to give them rebirth. And they were born to their 2nd and 1st son. Okay, so the husband and wife were born as brother and sister to their own son in this lifetime, I mean. Okay, so here we have a clear example that conventional belief is not correct. And Swamiji used to insist on this. He says, no, that doesn't happen that way. This happens this way. Okay, so that is one aside that I wanted to bring in. In addition to this, Swamiji has told us that every time he takes birth on this earth, and comes to perform his duty, a number of his disciples and devotees from his previous births, they also take birth again and again and again along with him. That is not to say that they take birth at the same time as he does, okay? That's not the case. Some people are born before him, even before he is born. So they are actually much elder to him, okay? And then some are born along with him, then some are born much later. So the examples for the first case would be like my grandfather, who had served Swamiji when Swamiji was in the beginning years of the tapas. I mean, throughout the tapas, he served him. But then what I'm trying to tell you is that when Swamiji, as a young boy of 14 years, sat in tapas, my grandfather was already like 40 years of age. He was a Tahsildar there, a revenue officer. This is my grandfather. I don't know if, Balu, on the screen, can you point out my grandfather? Yeah, right. So that was my grandfather. He was a revenue officer of that taluk or that district where Swamiji was born and Swamiji was doing tapas. So he took the responsibility of taking care of Swamiji and helping him through his tapas. Okay? And Swamiji told us that this person was his disciple when Swamiji was Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Apparently, my grandfather was the gardener there in the ashram, okay? And he was devoted to Ramakrishna and he performed a lot of meditation during the nights. Wow. And that is how he came to be a very close disciple of Swamiji again in this lifetime, okay? And Swamiji has mentioned the names of several other devotees like this. I mean, one very clear example that comes to mind is that of Tapasviji Maharaj. Actually, Tapasviji Maharaj himself announced that Satyaraju, who was still doing tapas, who had just completed about 2 years of tapas by then, was his guru, who was Sri Chandra Maharaj, the son of Guru Nanak Dev. Okay, so this is Tapasviji Maharaj, and he had come to Swamiji and he had served Swamiji when Swamiji was doing his tapas. When Swamiji actually started his tapas, during those times he came in this form. Okay, I mean, he was 180 years old when he came to Swamiji. And then he saw in the meditation that Swamiji or Satyaraju was no other than his guru, Sri Chandra Maharaj, in Swamiji's earlier lifetime. Okay, so this is again a very clear example of how this relationship of a devotee, of a disciple and a guru continues through lifetimes. Okay, so that's why I took that example. Of course, Swamiji has mentioned several other names. Okay, Gopanna is one of them, Adinarayana is one of them. They all were his disciples when he was Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. And they were again born and again came to be his disciples when he became Shivabalayogi. This is Adinarayana. Okay. And he was also a disciple of Swamiji when Swamiji was Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Okay. So like this, we have several examples which Swamiji pointed out. Okay, Manohar? So I am trying to tell you that the devotion, the relationship which is called devotion, which exists between disciples and a guru or devotees and God, transcends lifetimes. It continues through lifetimes. Okay? May not be every lifetime, but in several lifetimes, again we become disciple and guru. Okay? Yeah, so that is called, this is again, I don't know how many of you know this, but this is Tapasviji Maharaj, who was reborn in the Badawar family, who are again Swamiji's devotees. Okay? So after his Mahasamadhi, Tapasviji Maharaj was born as Raja Mahendra Aridaman Singh.
Correct.
Okay? So he became Swamiji's devotee again. So that makes it 3 lifetimes, right? Tapasviji Maharaj, along with Sri Chandra Maharaj, then Tapasviji Maharaj, along with Shivabalayogi Maharaj, Tapasviji Maharaj as Mahendra Singh, Haridaman Singh, along with Shivabalayogi Maharaj again. Okay, so this is the difference between spiritual love, devotion, and the other kinds of love that we have, which are limited to 1 lifetime, Manohar. Okay, so that's why I try to categorize this, and then I'm trying to help. I'm trying to give you examples to understand this. But again, let's go back to the question as to what did Swamiji mean by saying that Swamiji or Yogi is love? Okay, not just Swamiji. Please mind it. Huh? All yogis are love, just infinite love, nothing else, limitless love. Okay. Now, I would just spend a few moments to understand why that is so. Why is that limitless? Okay. Again, as per Swamiji, the way we define a yogi is one who had attained self-realization or God realization. Okay. So one way of putting it is, we have not realized our soul, we don't know our soul, we are not aware of our soul. But a yogi is. It's not just being aware of the soul, but he has realized the soul. Is it correct to say he has realized his soul? I feel that is wrong. Because all our scriptures tell us very clearly that the soul is indivisible. The physical bodies are divisible, right? I mean, my physical body is separate from your physical body. Similarly, my mind is separate from your mind. But when it comes to the soul, my soul is not different from the soul of any of you. It is the same. I mean, we don't understand it. We don't perceive it that way. That is our limitation. But the soul itself is limitless. Okay? It is undivisible. It cannot be divided. It cannot be that and it and that and this. No, it's all just one. One super consciousness spread across the whole universe, right? The whole creation. So also, when a yogi, when he has realized his soul, he has realized the soul which is the same as my soul and your soul also. And he clearly understands that. He identifies with that completely. So how can he be indifferent to you or me or to anybody for that matter, when he knows that the whole thing is just one single entity, undivisible? I think that is the root cause why all yogis love all beings, okay, equally. No limits, no conditions, unconditional love. So this is how I can explain the term, I mean the words that Swamiji said, yogi is love. Okay? Hope that answers the question, Manohar.
Yes, uncle. Thank you so much, uncle.
There's just another simple example. I mean, just to say that, all yogis see it in the same way. They perceive the same way. It seems once a devotee or a disciple asked Ramana Maharshi, how do we deal with the others? So this disciple was seeking guidance from her guru, who was Ramana Maharshi, and asking, how do we deal with the others? That is, she was having difficulty dealing with others. So she was asking for advice from Ramana Maharshi as to how to deal with others. And you know what the reply from Ramana Maharshi was? I think many of you know it. He said, who are the others? Okay? So what did he mean by that? There is nothing like others. We are all the same. So if you can get that understanding, that feeling, that there isn't any they or there isn't any others, we are all one. If we can get that feeling, then the question of dealing with others doesn't arise. Okay? There will be just love and nothing else everywhere in the universe. Of course, that's an ideal situation that may not happen anytime at all. But for a yogi, that's a reality. Okay? Then a question could arise. If yogi loves everybody, then how come sometimes he's angry at some of the devotees? Okay? Now, my explanation is quite simple. I am saying that those devotees who at times, I am not saying all the time, but then who at times deviate from the path shown by the yogi, the path shown by the guru, and bring in these differences, because of their ego or because of their desire to excel, desire to defeat or beat the others. If they depict qualities which are not correct, that is when the yogi gets angry. Not otherwise. He is not really angry at anybody. And several devotees, and even I have experienced that. Okay? One moment he is angry at you, he's shouting at you. The next moment he is totally pleased with you. He's offering you prasadam, he's offering you blessings, he's smiling at you, he's laughing at you. This is what I have seen. This is what I have seen him doing with all devotees. So long as the person does not change his mind, his or her mind, and continues to argue that he or she is correct, you will see Swamiji continuously scolding them. Okay? Now, when a disciple agrees with Swamiji and tries to understand Swamiji, okay, tries to accept what Swamiji is trying to tell him, trying to teach him, that is when the yogi is again happy with him. Okay? So his intention is to correct us, not to really be angry with us. Okay? That's not his intention at all.
See, Anna, the thing is, love, human love, divine love, all fine. But actually, the thing is, I have a very basic question. What do you mean by love? And whether it is care, whether it is compassion, what is it actually? I know, in fact, from past 2 days, I was having migraine and I was not able to do. And this question was going on in my mind. What do people mean when they say love, love everyone? What is it actually? What is love? Is it a feeling? Is it emotion? Is it care? How do I know somebody loves me? Or what is it that I should do to make people know that I love them? I would like to know your thoughts on this.
Okay, Vijaya, but I think it will take some time for me to put together an
Okay,
answer
maybe
for
we
that
can take it
question.
in the next session. Not a problem.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
will just it's a question for you for your next
Okay, no, but to
next
put it
year.
shortly, I
Yeah.
think what you said is correct, right? If you have compassion towards others, that means you love others, right?
Mm-hmm.
You care for somebody, that means you love that somebody, right? It could be another human being or it could be a pet also, right? A pet dog or a pet cat or a pet bird. If you care for that, really care for that, without any expectation in return, that's the qualification that I'm trying to put, right?
Okay.
Otherwise, see, if there is an expectation, if there is a give and take, it's a business relationship, right? It's not love anymore. Love is just willing to give, not expecting anything in return. That is love. A short definition. I hope you'll agree with that.
No, I agree. I was debating then why do we have so many words like love, compassion, care, affection? I mean, now suppose if I'm doing something for somebody
Uh-huh.
unconditionally, is that enough to say that I love that person?
If you care for that person and then if you are doing it without any expectation in return, of course you love that person, right?
That's all. So that is the only thing because when people say love everyone, love your
Huh.
enemies also. So what do you mean by love your enemies?
No, see, let me put it this way. God also does that. Do you think God doesn't have enemies? Did Rama have an enemy? Did Krishna have an enemy? Still we call them gods. Why? You think Shivabalayogi did not have enemies?
No, they all had said. For example, Rama had
Then, then, then let us try
enemy
to
called
understand this,
Ravana.
right? Let us try to understand this.
Mm.
See, if Rama treated Ravana as an enemy, why was that so? Rama did not treat Ravana as an enemy. Please try to understand this. Even at the last moment, I mean, that may not be proper, technically the last moment, but then there is an instance in the war between Rama and Ravana when Ravana loses all his weapons. Okay, and he's standing there on the battlefield alone without any help, without his chariot, without any arms in his hand. Rama could have killed him at that time. But he just lets him go and says, correct your wrong, return Sita, and I leave you. Right? So that shows the intention very clear. That Rama had no intention of killing Ravana. But if that is the only way of getting back Sita, so be it. You understand, Ma? So, if you are talking about a god or a yogi, he is the enemy for them, not the other way around. They don't have enemies, but the enemies have him, right? And then on a different date, I'll again pick it up. I think we discussed this earlier. Enmity is a much stronger emotion than love. You agree with me? If you have an enemy, okay, you will think of him or her day and night without a gap, without a pause. Constantly you will be thinking about how to defeat, how to insult your enemy. That may not be true with the person whom you love. And then you look at the intensity of the emotion, right? So, God also says that, and Swamiji also said this. You may not believe it. But he said, if you want an enemy, make me your enemy. If you want to show your anger at me, not at anybody else. Because the emotions of anger and enmity are much, much intense, much more intense than love and friendship. You understand? So it is that intensity which brings them really closer. Okay? Yeah, we can discuss this. I mean, there is another story I can tell you about why I feel that enmity is a much stronger, there is actual proof for that, okay?
Yeah, no, I think this is a wide topic. I have thousands of questions, so we'll take
Okay.
it up later on. Yeah.
Okay, Anna. Okay, Vijay.
Thank you.